I still check my dorm hallway before I step out at night, every single time, even now, years later, living in a completely different state. Some habits form because something burned them into you. This is what burned it into me. It was my sophomore year at a small university in Ohio. I was living in the residence halls, one of those old brick buildings that had been renovated twice, but still felt like it was holding on to something from decades ago. The kind of building where the radiators knock at 3 a.m., and you tell yourself it's just the pipes. My room was on the second floor. I had a single room that semester, which I loved. No roommate meant no schedule to work around. No compromising on lights out. Just me, my laptop, my textbooks, and way too much instant ramen. I was a creature of habit back then. Class from 9 to 2, library from 3 to 6, dinner, back to my room. Study until midnight, sleep, repeat. It was boring, but it was mine, and I felt safe in the predictability of it. The building had a basement laundry room that I hated using after dark. It wasn't anything I could explain at the time. Just a feeling, the kind that lives in your stomach, not your head. The fluorescent lights down there would flicker sometimes. The ceiling was low. The whole room just felt compressed, wrong, like the air pressure was slightly off. I started noticing things about 3 weeks into the semester. Small things first. My door handle, which I always locked before bed, would sometimes be unlocked in the morning. I blamed myself, told myself I was tired, forgot. Then my window, which I kept cracked an inch for airflow, would be fully closed when I woke up, again. Myself. Sleepwalking. Maybe. Then one night, I woke up at 2:47 a.m. I remember the time exactly because I looked at my phone immediately. I woke up to the sound of something moving in my room. Not footsteps. Not a thud. A slow, deliberate dragging sound, like something being pulled across carpet, an inch at a time. I lay completely still. The room was dark. I couldn't see anything. The sound stopped after maybe 10 seconds. I told myself it was the building settling. Old radiator pipes, a mouse in the wall. I ran through every rational explanation I could think of and picked the least terrifying one and went back to sleep. But I started paying more attention after that. The third floor of my building was supposed to be closed for the semester. There'd been some kind of water damage over the summer and the university had blocked it off. The stairwell door to the third floor had a padlock on it and a bright orange maintenance notice taped across it. I walked past that door every single day. I never thought much about it until I started hearing footsteps above me. Not occasionally. Consistently, between midnight and 2 a.m. Almost every night, I would hear the slow, measured sound of someone walking above my room. Back and forth, the same pattern each time. Like a person pacing, wall to wall, and back again. I mentioned it to my RA, a junior named Marcus. He looked at me a little too carefully before saying he'd look into it. He knocked on my door 2 days later. He told me the third floor had been checked. Padlock untouched, maintenance seal unbroken. No one up there. Probably, he said. The old building transferred sound in weird ways. Old ductwork, that kind of thing. I nodded and thanked him. That night, at 12:40 a.m., the footsteps started again. I grabbed my phone and stood in the middle of my room and just listened. And here's the thing I've never been able to explain to anyone in a way that doesn't make their expression change. The footsteps stopped, and then, slowly, they started moving toward the stairwell. I could track them by sound. Crossing above me, Toward the edge of the building where the stairs were, I stood there frozen, listening to whatever it was move directly toward the padlocked door. Then silence. Then, from the stairwell directly outside my room on my floor, a single knock on my door. I did not open it. I sat on my bed with my back against the wall, and I did not move until sunrise. When I finally opened the door, the hallway was empty. The stairwell door to the third floor was still padlocked. The maintenance seal was still intact. But on the floor directly in front of my door, there were 4 long scratches in the carpet, deep ones, like something had been dragged toward my door from the direction of the stairwell. No one ever explained them. I requested a room transfer the next morning, and never went back to that floor. I still check the hallway before I step out at night. That was just the beginning. The next incident will make you question the shadows in your own room. I almost didn't stop. That's what I come back to every time I think about that night. The gas light had been on for 20 miles, and I'd been telling myself I'd make it to the next exit, and the next one after that. It was just past midnight. I was on a solo drive through New Mexico on my way to visit family in Albuquerque. The highway was dead quiet in both directions. The exit I finally took didn't have a name on the sign, just a route number, the kind of exit that feeds back roads into nowhere. But there was a gas station symbol on the sign, and I was running on fumes. So I took it. The road off the exit ran about a half mile before I saw the lights. One of those old standalone stations, 2 pumps under a flat canopy, a small convenience store attached, the kind that sells beef jerky and lottery tickets and hasn't updated its signage since 1994. The lights inside were on. The open sign glowed red in the window. I pulled up to the pump and got out. The air felt different there. I don't know how else to describe it. Not cold exactly. More like. The temperature of the air and the temperature of my skin were the same. So I couldn't feel the boundary between my body and the night around me. It was disorienting in a way that took me a moment to identify. I started pumping gas. There was one other car at the station, a dark blue sedan, parked not at a pump, but off to the side, near the edge of the parking lot where the light didn't quite reach. Engine off, no movement inside that I could see. I told myself someone was just sleeping. Road trippers do that. Pull over, rest for an hour, keep going. I went inside to pay and grab a coffee. The store was small and brightly lit, and completely empty behind the counter. I waited for about 30 seconds, then called out a hello. No response. I walked a little further in. There was a door behind the counter, half open, leading to a back room. The light back there was off. I put my money on the counter, grabbed my coffee, and left. I told myself the attendant had stepped away. Bathroom break, totally normal. I was almost back to my car when I noticed something about the blue sedan that I hadn't seen before. The driver's side window was completely fogged over, not the outside. The inside, the kind of fog that comes from breath, from someone breathing inside a cold, sealed car, except it wasn't cold. The night was warm, and the engine had been off long enough that the interior should have been the same temperature as the air outside. I stood very still for a moment, and I watched a single handprint press itself slowly into the fog on the inside of the window. I got in my car and locked the doors. I told myself there was a person in that car. Obviously, there was a person. That's what a rational person tells themselves. But the handprint didn't belong to someone sitting in the driver's seat. It was positioned too high, near the center of the glass, at a height that only made sense if whoever pressed it was lying across the back seat and reaching up. I started my car. That's when the pump behind me, the one I hadn't used, the one with no car at it, turned on. I heard the click and hum of it starting up, running on its own. Numbers ticking upward on the display, pumping nothing into nothing. I pulled out of that station and back onto the highway, without looking in my rearview mirror. I made myself not look. I don't know why, it just felt important not to. I drove for about 4 miles before I realized I could hear something. A faint sound, rhythmic, coming from the back of my car. I pulled over on the shoulder and got out. I checked the entire vehicle. Trunk. Back seat. Underneath. Nothing. Empty. My own highway stretched out in both directions, completely alone. The sound had stopped. I don't know what was in that sedan. I don't know who. Or what. Pressed that handprint into the fog. I don't know why the pump turned on by itself. I know I drove the remaining 3 hours to Albuquerque without stopping once. And I checked every lock in my relative's house before I slept. I've taken I-40 twice since then. Both times. I did not take that exit. If your heart is already racing, take a deep breath. Because our final story is the one that no one survived to tell. I've been a teacher for 6 years now, and I have never once propped open a door for a stranger. People who know me think it's rude. I let it be rude, because I know what happens when you don't think twice about who you're letting in. This was before I got my full-time position. I was a long-term substitute covering a stretch of elementary school classes in a district just outside of Portland, Oregon. I was in my mid-20s, fairly new to the profession, still operating mostly on instinct and goodwill. The school was the kind of place that felt safe. Small town, low crime, the kind of community where parents volunteered for everything, and the teachers knew every kid by name, and the front office staff remembered your coffee order. I felt comfortable there quickly. My assignment that particular week was covering a 4th grade class whose teacher was on medical leave. Reading, math, science, the full day. I had a good group, quiet kids who actually did their work, which, as any sub will tell you, is basically a miracle. The classroom was at the end of a long hallway in the building's east wing. At the far end of that hallway was an emergency exit door, one of those push-bar doors that locked from the outside, only supposed to be opened from inside. Every teacher had been told explicitly, do not prop this door, do not open it for anyone, if someone needs to enter the building. They go through the front office, 2 days into my assignment. During afternoon reading time, there was a knock at that emergency exit. Not loud, soft, almost tentative. 3 knocks evenly spaced, like someone who knew the sound would carry through a heavy door and didn't want to make it echo. The kids didn't look up. I told myself it was the wind, or a maintenance worker, or nothing at all. The knocks came again, same pattern. 3, evenly spaced. I walked to the door and looked through the narrow vertical window in it. Outside was a woman, early 40s, I guessed. Light jacket, dark hair pulled back, a canvas tote bag over one shoulder. She looked completely ordinary. She was smiling at me through the glass, with the expression of someone who was mildly embarrassed to be knocking on an emergency exit. She mouthed something. I couldn't read it clearly. It looked like it might have been, I'm a parent. I did not open the door. I held up one finger. Wait, and went to the classroom phone and called the front office. I described the woman and asked if anyone was expected at the East Wing exit. The woman on the phone paused. Then she said, slowly, we have no appointments this afternoon. And the East Wing exit camera hasn't been working since Monday. She told me to stay away from the door, and that she was calling it in. I went back to my kids and kept them focused on their reading. I glanced toward the door every few minutes. For the next 20 minutes. The woman knocked every 3 to 4 minutes, same pattern, 3 knocks. Patient and steady, like she had nowhere else to be. Like she was absolutely certain the door was going to open eventually. Then she stopped. I thought it was over. The front office called back and said security had walked the perimeter, found no one at the East Wing exit or anywhere else on that side of the building. That should have been the end of it. But at dismissal, when I was walking my class to the pickup area at the front of the school, one of my students, a quiet girl named Lily who sat in the back row and rarely spoke unless spoken to, tugged my sleeve. She pointed toward the East Wing. Back the way we came, she said. She's still there. I looked. The hallway behind us was empty. The emergency exit at the far end was closed. I asked Lily what she meant. She said the woman had been standing at the end of the hallway outside the window for the last hour. She said she'd been watching them through the glass the whole time they were reading. The East Wing hallway had no exterior windows. I asked Lily to describe the woman. She described her exactly. Light jacket, dark hair, canvas bag. Standing at a window. That didn't exist. Security swept the building again. They found nothing. The camera that had been down since Monday turned back on by itself sometime that evening. According to the maintenance log, the footage from the days it was offline was simply gone, overwritten with static. No one ever identified the woman. No parent matching her description was ever found in the school's system. The district reviewed everything. Nothing. I finished out that week. I was professional about it. But I ate lunch at my desk with the door locked for the rest of the assignment. And every time I walked past that emergency exit, I felt something I cannot name, standing just on the other side of it. I still feel it sometimes, in quiet hallways. In empty classrooms just after the last bell, that specific quality of silence, that feels less like the absence of sound, and more like something holding its breath. I don't know what wandered into that building. I know it was patient, and I know it was already watching. Before I ever picked up that phone, 3 stories, 3 moments where something crossed a line that isn't supposed to be crossable. A door that should have stayed locked. A window in a room that wasn't there. A road that felt like it was waiting. The truth is, most of us move through our days without ever stopping to ask, what's standing just outside the light? We assume the hallway is empty because we can't see down it. We assume the building is safe because the lock held. We assume the night is just the night. But sometimes the pattern of knocks is too even. Sometimes the fog on the glass moves in the wrong direction. Sometimes a child points at a window that doesn't exist and describes someone they shouldn't be able to know. I don't have explanations for any of these. Neither do the people who lived through them. That's what makes it impossible to let go. If these stories kept you up even a little, if you found yourself glancing toward a dark corner, or listening for a sound you couldn't place, then you already know what kind of channel this is. We find the stories that don't have clean endings, the ones that stay with you. If you want more, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications, because the next story we found starts with someone waking up and realizing the shadow on their ceiling is moving in the opposite direction of everything else in the room. You'll want to be there for that one.